It's been a long break since Martin Štefanko clinched the 2017 title, but we're finally back for the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 season. My name is Justin, and today I'll be taking you through all the action for this first race alongside my friend and co-commentator Chris Buxton.
Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to be alongside the beautiful man, the beautiful beard, once again. And what a fabulous season we have awaiting for us.
The winter break is over, and Virtual GP returns for its fourth season. Bigger, better, and faster than ever before. Welcome to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2018 Championship. The partnership with Mercedes-Benz allows us to offer the highest quality of virtual racing. 12 drivers racing side-by-side in 12 events that take place at the replay studio in Prague, Czech Republic, with a very unique atmosphere that makes this championship so special. The first change comes with a brand new format dividing the season into 3 parts, each with a different car. The first car is the Mercedes-AMG GT3. This car is easy to drive thanks to its highly advanced 6.3-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine. Drivers will also enjoy some of the latest developments in traction control and ABS. The GT3 cars will visit some classic circuits like Imola, Brands Hatch, Laguna Seca, and even the streets of Macau. A completely different challenge comes next, the 1989 Mercedes-Benz C9. In its Le Mans edition, it is a pure beast, featuring a twin-turbo V8 engine. This prototype will race at some amazing tracks like Spa-Francorchamps, Nürburgring, Circuit of the Americas, and also prepare for a night race in Bahrain. For the last 4 races of the 2018 season, it's a return to the single-seaters. A modern Mercedes Formula Hybrid, built by the technical rules for the 2017 Formula One season. Almost 1,000 brake horsepower hidden in the 6-cylinder, 1.6-liter turbo power unit. Its tricky hybrid systems will be put to the test at Silverstone, the Red Bull Ring, the Temple of Speed at Monza, and the grand finale at Suzuka. The best of the 3 drivers are going to win some fantastic prizes, while second and third get some amazing experiences with the AMG Driving Academy. The overall winner will get a 1-year rental of a brand new Mercedes-Benz A-Class. The rulebook had to change to accommodate the different car types. Refueling and no tire restrictions will surely make prototypes and GT cars very exciting, while race distances for both categories will now be measured in time, with 42 minutes of racing plus 1 extra lap and rolling starts for the prototypes. However, these changes won't affect the third part of the season with the Formula Hybrid car. Still, no refueling allowed, and drivers will have to use at least 2 different tire compounds in the race. Virtual GP also introduces a full-course yellow phase instead of a safety car, but with some tweaks, as drivers will be allowed to catch up with the leader to make the racing more exciting. New cars, new rules, and some amazing prizes. All the excitement starts by the end of March, and the season runs through October. You don't want to miss the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season.
12 races on this incredible calendar then for Virtual GP, starting in Imola, Italy, and ending in Suzuka, Japan. Every single race is an absolute crown in the jewel for each represented country. And, this is going to be incredible for our drivers throughout this season. Our teams and drivers then, we have returning to us Martin Štefanko for Republic of Gamers, Michal Šmídl for Predator alongside Wojtek Polesny. We have Jaroslav Hosnik for the Thrustmaster team, Peter Zubek for Avast, and Michael Blazek for Lenovo Legion.
Yep, Hlebets is going to be driving the Alza Gaming car, Peter Dolezal is going to be driving the Psycho Plus car, Jan Sikora will be in the Lynx, Martin Kostulik in the Xiaomi, Robin Lucas for SanDisk, and Thomas at the end there. He will be driving the final car. But here we are in the studio looking at the drivers. We've got some new camera angles for this season, which we're all very excited about. You can see the drivers. Looks like Zubek, Šmídl, and Polesny have all elected to sit next to each other. So Šmídl and Polesny in the 2 Predator cars, Predator Red, Predator Blue. But this, more importantly, is how they will line up for today's race. Michal Šmídl in that Predator car, picking right up where he left off last season by taking pole position with a 141.7 ahead of Blazek, who also joins him on the front row. Then comes Polesny and Dolezal, Sikora and Hanzik completing the third row. And Štefanko quite a ways down, actually, in P8. Peter Zubek as well, getting podiums last season, starting way down from 9th position. But we are on the grid now. It's not going to be a rolling start. That's just for the prototypes. Engines are revving, those loud V8s on the grid as we prepare to go racing here in Italy for the first round of the Mercedes-Benz 2018 Virtual GP season, and it looks like a good, clean start. Šmídl is not going to be contested down into turn 1. We've already got some side-by-side action, though. Blazek and Dolezal appear to be side-by-side, heading down towards the first corner, and I believe that is Blazek on the outside. No, that's Dolezal, actually, on the outside as he takes that position, and we're looking at Štefanko again, the 2017 champion there. He's way down in 8th position, now 9th position, actually, in fact. He's not making up any positions, and actually it's now everybody is in a line, so it was a nice clean start. No mistakes, no crashes, no carbon fiber being thrown up.
Not as yet, but it's a long way to go. As you can see at the top, we have just over 41 minutes plus 1 lap of racing, and Michal Šmídl has started to develop a bit of a gap there as they've come out of Tosa and into the Piratella. But look at that side-by-side. That is Dolezal. It's Blazek has managed to break free. Look at this. That's Jan Sikora that is trying his hardest to get into line and not cause a problem in that Lynx Mercedes. Oh, and that is so very, very close there. That was Peter Dolezal getting very, very close to the tail of that Lynx Mercedes. Now streaming on down to the Variante Alta. Everybody pretty much now into line, getting into their rhythms. Oh, that is that... That's
Levitz, I believe, that went very wide there.
Martin Štefanko looked like he had a decent run out of the Variante Alta. Now coming down to the Ravazza. Can he get into a slipstream? And, oh no, he's already having to fight off. I wasn't actually saw which Mercedes he was trying to fight off there. Now back to Jan Sikora. And he's managed to get back in line. Now the driver's starting to get back into their rhythms already. We're seeing the drivers starting to get an eye for where their opponents are starting to break and what have you. But look at the gap. What, already 1.5 seconds Michal Šmídl has for himself.
Yeah, that was a pretty big gap in qualifying from the top 3 down to the rest of the field. So I expect Šmídl, Polesny, and Blazek are going to be really focusing on each other, as already, as you mentioned, those gaps starting to form. Hanzik, meanwhile, up into P4, just outside of podium paying position. He is coming under heavy pressure, though, from Peter Dolezal, so he is going to have to keep an eye on that Mercedes behind him. But keeping an eye, taking a quick look at Prohaska down at the back, and I mean, he's really not dropping away, and this is, I think, what we're really hoping to see from Virtual GP in 2018 is really tight racing up and down the field, and that seems to be exactly what we're getting because no driver is safe. And in fact, Martin Štefanko, somehow we missed that, but Martin Štefanko has actually lost positions since the start of this race. Hanzik has moved up positions, so I'm not sure if this is a case of Štefanko just not getting along well with this circuit, or maybe not getting along well with the GT3 car, but he was obviously champion last season, so we know he's got some pace in him, but it seems that he's struggling at the moment. Taking a look at Hanzik once again. Again, he is coming under heavy attack from Dolezal, so we'll see if he's able to make anything happen here. It does look like he has gotten a better exit out of the chicane. They're going to be side by side through this right-hander. Hanzik with the inside line, but that'll give him the outside line for the double left-handers to finish up the lap, and he is going to lose that position as Dolezal shoots up the inside. A fantastic textbook move there, Chris.
Beautiful move then by Peter Dolezal in that second plus Mercedes. But he has got a bit of a gap. That's cost him 2 seconds, give or take, between himself and Michael Blazek. You can see the gap there, but he can't just concentrate on those ahead of him. He's got to defend as well from those that he's already passed. Oh my goodness me! That was is that Kostalik? That was
I think that's Levitz.
It was Levitz again. Oh, again, side by side coming through Chicago. That's very dangerous, but it does look like it's a Robin Lucas that is still side by side. Oh, trouble!
Oh, no!
Oh, no, that's Robin Lucas that's hit the wall, I think. Oh, trouble. He's now going to lose so much time. It was indeed. Robin Lucas has lost a lot of time trying to in the Sandisk racing car. That's going to cost him a hell of a lot of time. It's 10 seconds. That's over 10 seconds now he's lost.
Yep, yeah, the timing does bounce around a little bit, but yeah, he has lost a heap of time. Lots of time still to go in this race, and these cars are still new to these drivers, so Robin needs to keep his head down, start putting in quick laps. He can always come back and make up time. In fact, I mean, he's really not too far away. I don't think he has any major damage either, so I think he's going to be all right as far as that is concerned. Still looking very tight in the midfield, though, as we saw earlier. Martin Štefanko is starting to break away from Prohaska, so he's going to start turning his focus towards Peter Zubek in P9 at the moment, and there is Thomas right now. Again, he is starting to fall away from Štefanko. But, I mean, that's something that we would have expected. Again, Štefanko is the 2017 Virtual GP champion, so we would expect him to actually pull away from newer drivers. So the Vodafone car starting to drop away from the Acer car, but it's looking still, like I mentioned, pretty tight in the midfield. Šmídl still breaking away, but Polesny just about keeping him in sight. So, yeah, he's just over a second. Blazek just over a second to Polesny, and here are those tight battles on board with Sikora at the moment. And he's actually coming under attack from Hlebec, who we've seen a lot of action from Hlebec, actually. He is smack dab in the middle of the field at the moment, just at the top of the bottom half. And let's see what he can do up against Sikora, actually moving over to Zubek. Looks like he might be putting the pressure on Kostelik here for P8 soon.
Absolutely, in that Avast, and very brightly coloured Avast Mercedes. He is piling on the pressure then to try and do something against Martin Kostelik, now coming up the hill towards the Piratella once again. It's very easy to wander too wide in these cars, although the GT3s are fairly well balanced. The Mercedes are quite large, so if they get a little bit unsettled, they can slide quite a bit. And and there you just saw, actually, that was Kostelik that was just had to take that the exit of Echo Minerali a little bit too wide, just struggling to get the car turned in. But look at the three-car battle going on ahead of them. That's Honzik, Sikora, and Hlebec as well. So even if Zubek does get past Kostelik, he's got a lot of battling still to do to get further up the field. Now heading down towards Rivazza, he's thinking about an inside move. We've already seen that move done once already in this race, and decides to stay in line at the moment.
Oh, it's wonderful seeing these Mercedes GT3 cars just spitting fire under braking as they shift down for those final two corners. And the engines sound absolutely lovely, as well as Peter Dolezal puts in the fastest lap under 143. Puts in a 142.994, currently running in fourth position. He's kind of at the lead of that pack that we saw before. And here we are now having a look at the Lynx car of Jan Sikora. Currently, he's in the middle of a bit of a sandwich right now. He's got Honzik just ahead, and he's got Hlebec just behind. So it is very, very tense for Jan at the moment as he heads into the left-hander hairpin. Oh, he gets a bit of a tap there, but actually it's hurt Hlebec more than anybody else. Yeah, Hlebec with that little tap on the car ahead of him, that's put him into a spin, and now he seems to be, oh yeah, there's a lot of power coming from that V8 engine there, Andre, so he has some trouble putting the power down on the road, and that's going to drop him way down into P10. So Štefanko back up to P9, which is again where he started. You can actually see the reigning champion at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and he is currently trying to push Zubek for that P8 position. So we'll see what he can do. Meanwhile, up at the front, I believe Polesny has started to reel in Michal Šmídl.
Yes, indeed. Again, looking at the last laps, you can see there's barely even a tenth between the two. But now that gap is dangerously close to under a second. We're now looking on board with Peter Zubek. He's getting in attacking range of Martin Kostelik in that Xiaomi Geek Mercedes as well. They're coming through the tail end of Rivazza. I don't think that Kostelik had a good run through there. There's now going to be a great opportunity for Peter Zubek to get on the offensive. He had a great run on the exit of Rivazza. Can he do anything in the slipstream? Heading over the start-finish line, dangerously close. You can see the gap in the middle of the screen at the bottom. It is around about 0.3 of a second. Is he going to try a move on the inside of Chagado? No, he opts for... It's actually quite a dangerous place. There's not a massive braking zone there. So they now come through Tamburello and now up to Villeneuve. The next major braking zone is going to be Tozer. And he's really in a good striking rate for that. Martin Štefanko will be well aware of this. Is he going to try and defend the inside line? Is Peter Zubek going to make a move? And the answer is no. They decide to follow suit, but again, Peter Zubek can't afford to stay there too long. He has got Martin Štefanko in that Predator, in that red car behind him. As you can see, he's bearing down on him as well. So the racing hasn't really dissipated. The gaps may have changed, but there's still plenty of racing throughout the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin Štefanko in that Republic of Gamers car is definitely trying to close up on Zubek, and I think he's certainly got the pace to do it. So he is not out of this race just yet. That battle for the lead still going on as well. Blazek just about holding on to Polesny, and as we mentioned before, Polesny even reeling in Šmídl a little bit. Now, just a reminder for our viewers, there is no mandatory pit stop. You don't have to come in and change your tires. You can refuel as well too if you feel that's going to actually be the fastest way to complete this race. So a number of the rules that many of our viewers are used to seeing when it comes to the single-seater formula cars, those are not in place for these GT3 cars. So we could see quite a bit of variation, some very brave strategies going on potentially. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And of course, we don't know what fuel these guys are running. I mean, they're all running the same tire, but we don't know a lot of the specific things about the nature of their setup and their strategy and all of that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how all of that works out as they're clocking nearly 290 kph in the speed trap. But on board with Martin, again, the 2017 champion, struggling right now in P9, just trying to close up on Zubek, who was a driver that he was beating with fairly regular consistency last season, as he was indeed beating most people with fairly regular consistency, and that's what gave him the 2017 championship. But things have changed a little bit, it seems. He may just not suit this car very well, but I'll tell you, it seems to be suiting Polesny and Blazek as we go on board, actually, with Martin. And he's doing well. Again, down at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can see him really focusing, sitting next to Mr. Honzik himself, one of the more expressive drivers in Virtual GP. Always love seeing Honzik on screen, and hopefully we're going to be seeing a lot more of the drivers this year. And you can really see, actually, Polesny really working the wheel at the bottom left there. We're not on board with him right now, but whatever corner he was going through, he was having to put some serious work into that. But coming through the chicane now and coming to the end of, I believe, the 6th lap of this race. And again, the first race with these GT3 cars has not disappointed one bit. The gaps are very small. The biggest gap we're seeing at the moment, Chris, I think is actually down to Robin Lucas, who of course we know had that problem earlier in the race, but he's still got plenty of time. He can keep pushing, might be able to gain some positions as well. And with how close the midfield is, he might actually be able to overtake some people if there is, a bit of action, a bit of side-by-side, and maybe even a bit of crashing going on between these guys.
Absolutely, and even outside of the gap to Robin Lucas, the biggest gap at worst is 5 seconds, and that's between Jaroslav Honzik and Jan Sikora. I beg your pardon, Honzik and Peter Dolezal. So here we are looking at the gap between Sikora and Honzik. He's remained in striking distance the whole race long, pretty much. And again, whilst he has got about 1.2 seconds gap away from Sikora now, Jaroslav will be well aware that one mistake will put that Lynx Mercedes back in his gate. And oh, look at this! Martin Štefanko in the Republic of Gamers. Mercedes has managed to do a beautiful inside maneuver at Toza, but he hasn't got it done. He's got to try and get past that fast Mercedes of that will be Martin Zubek. Beg pardon. And oh, that's a problem for Zubek. Oh, brilliantly held. He just lost the tail and managed to hold it brilliantly well. That will be that would have certainly woken him up if he wasn't paying attention before. He certainly will be now. Now switching to Peter Dolezal in the Seco Plus Mercedes.
Yep.
He's trying to put more pressure on for the podium, for the bottom podium position, trying to take that away from Michael Blazek. Now coming into the Ravazza once again. And still plenty of time, and again, this is where the constant pressure can really pay off. Whilst he's not in striking distance at the moment, he just needs to keep that pressure on. Michael Blazek will be well aware that Mercedes behind is widening his pitch. And wow, look at that. Certainly if the other drivers are aware of the fact that Peter Dolezal is on the move, that will certainly make the other drivers ahead of him aware that he is really pressing on. What a stunning out, 42.8. Again, that was half...
Wasn't he the last person to set fastest lap as well, too? I believe he was.
It's not the first time we've seen Peter Dolezal on the fastest lap board.
Yeah.
And you got to think, it's not a massive gap between him and the lead. So, goodness me, that's Andrei Schlebeck getting all crossed up, trying to make a move into the... that was into Trigado. So it didn't quite pay off, but he held it very, very well. He's keeping the pressure on Thomas Prochaska as they now come through... That's through the Villeneuve chicane, the red Vodafone Mercedes holding. Look how defensive that Thomas has had to go to keep Andrei Schlebeck behind him. Oh, is this going to be a lovely cutback? That is a beautiful move. Can he get it done before they get to the Piratella? Can Andrei Schlebeck get past the red Vodafone Mercedes? Yes, he can. What a beautiful move as they now come through Piratella.
Wonderful, wonderful move, and it's not over just yet, actually. Thomas is coming back at him, carried a little bit more speed through the left-hander as they descend down the hill now into Aqua Minerale, but no, Chlebets is going to, in fact, hold on to that position. Oh, but he's gone very wide, and that's going to bring him right back alongside him. No, I think Chlebets is just about going to hold on to that position as they head into the final chicane, but what a battle between those two drivers, and Chlebets moves up into P10. Prohaska now down into P11, and actually all that battling has really dropped them off the rest of the pack. So these guys were just, you know, they could see the pack ahead of them. They could see that rabbit, that carrot at the end of the stick that they're chasing, but not so much anymore. So I think that's one thing we can already pick up on early in this season. These GT3 cars, if you start going side by side, you are going to lose a massive amount of time to the cars around you.
Or particularly if you start tapping the guy in front, they get very unsettled very easily. And we've seen quite a few incidents already as we're now back with Peter Dolezal in that second plus Mercedes, piling the pressure on. Now looking back from Michael Blaszczak in the Legion car as they come through. It's a lovely camera as we come through Tosa. This is exactly what Michael Blaszczak has to keep behind him. He knows what lines he wants to take, but he also knows he's got to keep that Secco Plus behind him. And he also knows that Peter Dolezal is on the move. He's got the pace. We've seen his name on the fastest lap board already several times. But as you've already said, Justin, that is costing them time. That's now 2.5 seconds, give or take, between Peter Dolezal and Michael Blaszczak. That's done it again. Sorry, Blaszczak and Polesny. Oh, and here we go again. This is Štefanko in the Republic Gamers Mercedes. He had to go a bit on the grass. Oh my goodness me, he can't keep it though. And that is Martin Štefanko in the Xiaomi Geek Mercedes. Now got through. Goodness me, that was incredible.
That was fantastic stuff. I think Štefanko's been involved in about 3 incidents so far in this race after less than 10 laps of racing. I don't think I've ever seen Štefanko have to fight this hard just to get some points. This is truly incredible stuff. This is not what I was expecting at all. Oh no! And again, very, very late on the brakes for Štefanko. That's really, really not going to help him. And in fact, that's actually brought Zubek now into this battle. They're nose to tail, the 3 of them, as they cross the line once again. And it looks like Štefanko may be able just about to pick up a slipstream here. Of course, no DRS, no curves on these GT3 cars. They do get the benefit of ABS and traction control, as does the real-life GT3 cars, but I don't think he's going to be able to go around the outside here. No, Kostulik holds on to that P7 position. Štefanko is clearly, I mean, he does not want to be hanging around here anymore. We've seen some pretty aggressive stuff, and in fact, now Zubek looking like he maybe wants to make a move on Štefanko. These 3 guys are just glued together. They cannot be separated. Running over the curbs as you can, of course, in these GT3 cars, making good use of all of the track and then some. I mean, we even saw Martin Štefanko making use of the grass at one point to try and make that overtake on Kostulik, and it didn't quite work out for him, but I mean, it's very strange and also interesting that we're seeing this kind of level of desperation from the reigning champion.
There's still quite a bit of race to go. We still have 23.5 minutes left. It's not like we're looking at the final laps. I'm a little bit surprised they're pushing this hard, but it makes for a great spectacle. Oh, as Zubek is run very, very wide on the exit of Aqua Minerale. I do love the fact that when we saw the image of Martin Štefanko and Martin Kostulik, they were both absolutely focused after the point they had that impact. Neither of them moved. That just shows the level of focus that these guys have got. Even when their car is going in a different direction than the way they originally want to, they are still absolutely focused. They know exactly what they are doing next. Now switching to, once again, Michael Blaszczak and Peter Dolezal. over the start-finish line. Again, Dolezal, we know the sort of pace he's had. He's gained a tenth and a bit on Michael Blazell. Now it does seem like the second plus car is going to be making a move very, very soon. Michael Blazek has done a great job of handling all that pressure, but it's going to be sooner or later you feel like it's before he makes a mistake. Now switching back to this three-way battle we were just looking at. Martin Štefanko, Martin Kostelik and Peter Zubak coming through Chagado and Tamburello. Oh, the tail of the Republic of Gamers car got very, very loose. And Peter Zubek will be well aware of that. He can obviously see how these cars are behaving and how they're pushing. He's going to be analysing where he can make a move. Oh, and again, you saw Štefanko having a look on the inside of Tozer. It's the biggest braking zone on the circuit, and it creates a great number of opportunities. Now looking at Dolezal and Blazek once again. Oh, and again, Dolezal making himself very, very clear. Part of that is distraction techniques as well. They're making themselves obvious in the mirrors, but you got to really do something to put Michael Blazek off.
Yep, and that's him down at the bottom right. You can see he is focusing very hard. I mean, both these drivers are focusing very hard, and I love seeing, you can see him just fighting the wheel as he makes use of the curbing there coming out of the chicane as well, too, and I just love being able to see these drivers fighting these cars as they make their way around the circuit in the fastest possible way that they can. But I have to imagine that Dolezal is going to be pretty upset about this. He really wants to get by that Lenovo Legion car. Clearly he's got the pace. He's been setting fastest laps. Technically, he's got the pace to go off and pressure Michal Šmídl based on the lap times we've been seeing from him as he goes another 10th quicker, or actually, no, he was almost identical times, just a 10th between the two of them as they cross the start-finish line once again. 21 minutes remaining in this race, and that Lenovo Legion car of Michael Blazek still ahead of the Seco Plus car of Peter Dolezal, and yeah, it's very, very close between the two of them. The two Martins, meanwhile, are still going at it. You can actually see, based on the timing, just a few tenths between Kostelik and Štefanko and Zubek as well, not that far off in the distance. And again, Hlebets isn't really far off in P10, and then it's only a few seconds back to Prohaska and Robin Lucas, not as far back as we've seen in previous races last season. There was times where Lucas was even getting lapped and stuff, but he's seeming much more comfortable, especially considering he's had an incident as well too, and he's only a dozen seconds back or so. So it's looking much more competitive for this 2018 season, and I'm really looking forward to see how the rest of these GT3 races pan out. And then of course we'll be moving over to the prototypes for round 5 for 4 full races. Again, turning our focus to the battle between the Martins and Peter, and the middle Martin. It looked like he was actually going to come under attack from Zubek, but no, Štefanko is able to keep everything on the road and focus. And oh god, is he going to make a diving lunge here into the chicane? He's looking very, very aggressive here, is Štefanko. He really wants to try and get past Kostelik if he can. That Xiaomi Geek car, I imagine, is pretty annoying at this point to Martin Štefanko. He's tired of looking at the back of it. Will he make a move into the penultimate corner? No, but he's very close, nose to tail, as they're making their way out of the final corners. We go on board. I love these onboard shots. On board with Štefanko as he comes out of that final corner. It does look like a good exit for him, but is he going to be able to pull alongside the Xiaomi car?
It looks like Martin Kostelik had a slightly better run on the exit of Ravazza. If we look at the lap times, again, not even a 10th separating them. Peter Dolezal had a bad run out of Variante Alta. You can see, again, Martin Štefanko making himself very, very obvious to Martin Kostelik. He's got to be careful that doesn't cost him a bit of time. And look, Peter Dolezal's right with him now. This could potentially be a move into Villeneuve. Again, that is Martin Štefanko having a look on the inside on the entrance part of Villeneuve. Again, doesn't make that move stick, but he's got to be careful. Peter Dolezal's right with him again. Whoa, goodness me, in the background, that's Andrei Šlebek, who's broken free of Thomas Prohaska. He is gaining, exactly as you said a couple of laps ago, Justin. That train's going to become long before too long if one of these doesn't manage to break free. I mean, I would imagine Peter can count the amount of flies on the back of... Martin can count the amount of flies on the back of Martin Kostelik's car by now. He's been there for so long. Now again, he's having a look in the inside of Acqua Minerale. That's more a distraction technique. That's not really a passing opportunity. No. On board with Peter Šlebek, he's got a wonderful ringside seat for the battle ahead of him. Yeah. I love the way where that camera's positioned. It could almost be like a backseat passenger with a bucket of popcorn back there. It's just absolutely fabulous. Now looking at Peter Dolezal Michael Blaszczak once again battling for that bottom podium position. But look at that camera shot. You can see how much time it's costing him. That gap between Blaszczak and Polesny is now 4.5 seconds. Oh, goodness me, it's been a problem here. Peter Zubek on the inside of the Republica Gamers Mercedes. He's finally managed to break free, but there's been a mistake there by the Republica Gamers Mercedes. You can see the amount of time he's lost from the back of Martin Štefanko.
Yeah.
So suddenly he's lost, must be a good second or so, and Peter Zubek was in the prime position to capitalize, but Martin Štefanko's had a decent run on the exit of Ravazza once again. He's piling the pressure on, now get on the outside, great defensive positioning by Martin Zubek, and he's, Martin Štefanko had no choice, he had to back out of that one. But is he going to get a decent run on the exit of Tamburello? He does, but he's not going to be quite close enough, I think, to try and move into Villeneuve. Again, not a very big braking zone, but he's also going to be aware of the fact there's another Mercedes in the background of Andrei Šlebek. Oh, and that's not a good run on the exit of Villeneuve for Dolezal. Slight bit of impact coming into Tosa, still side by side. Oh, and that's Peter Zubek getting his elbows out well and truly. Now Andrei Šlebek's getting involved. Can he get alongside? Oh my goodness me, he's actually gone past. What a great move by the Avast Mercedes to slip through into 9th position. Brilliant bit of opportunistic driving.
Absolutely. Hlebets is on fire. This is incredible stuff to see. The way he closed up on this group of cars and then just passed the reigning champion. I imagine he's gonna be pretty happy with that maneuver as he moves himself up into P9 now, incredibly. So yeah, this has become a four-way battle, although Kostulik now starting to break away a little bit. It seems that Hlebets goes a little bit wide there. That could put Štefanko alongside him as they come towards the end of this lap, moving back on board to the battle for P3. Blaszczak still defending from Dolezal, and he's still trying to hold on to that podium position. Just under 16 minutes of racing still to go, plus one more lap, of course. Well, as soon as that timer hits 0, we will have one more lap of racing to complete. That Lenovo Legion car still holding on to the podium position as it stands right now. I imagine finishing his first race of 2018 on the rostrum would be a dream come true. So I imagine these guys are going to be pushing absolutely as hard as they possibly can, and Blaszczak is going to want to start his season in the best possible way. Meanwhile, the gap, I have been keeping an eye very kind of off to the side, keeping an eye on the gap between Šmídl and Polesny. It's about 2 or 3 seconds, give or take, depending on what part of the circuit they're on. So it has extended ever so slightly. I would say Polesny was, maybe 1.5, 2 seconds adrift, but now that gap's starting to increase, and it's looking like this might be a fairly straightforward win for Michal Šmídl. Again, one of the protagonists from the 2017 championship last year, led the championship almost the entire season and lost out in Suzuka at the final round to Martin Štefanko, who again is way down in P10. So it's very interesting to see how this 2018 season is already beginning to play out, and we're not even done with the first race, and it's already very, very interesting. So it'll be great to see exactly how this works out. Just a reminder, as you can see down at the bottom of the screen, don't forget to send in your predictions for the next race. That's going to be happening in a couple weeks' time later on in April. So you've got some time to put in those predictions. But again, turning our focus to that battle between Blaszczak and Dolezal. We've seen those fast laps from Dolezal, but I don't know, does he have the racecraft to get by? Is it just that close between the two of them? Because as it stands right now, he's just looking at the back of that Lenovo Legion car. I guess the real question is, will Michal Blaszczak make a mistake? That's the question.
Yeah, that is absolutely the question, and it's something that I'm sure Peter Dolezal is really hoping for, because he's been stuck behind the car so long. He could probably draw the tail end of that thing by memory by now. So we're looking at Mr. Polesny trying to close in the gap to Michal Šmídl ahead. It's both of them maintaining their particular pace. They're of course not defending from anybody immediately, but I'm sure Wojciech Polesny will want to close that in. Again, looking at Peter Dolezal, he seems to be losing. He certainly lost a 10th last time around. Oh, Michal Blaszczak got a little bit twitchy coming into the Piratella. Now that gap's just opened up to half a second. It's big enough to stop an immediate attack. And again, that is what Blaszczak will be aware of. Peter Dolezal has been behind him long enough to know for Michael Blazek to realise where he is stronger and where he is weaker. So he just needs to position his car in the correct defensive positions for areas where he's not quite as strong as Peter Dolezal. And subsequently, Peter Dolezal will have an idea on where he thinks he can make a passing move. But we haven't really seen, or certainly haven't seen for quite some time, a move from Peter Dolezal. Now looking at Peter Zubek, he's actually managed, he's defending from that Avast of Andrei Slebek. Exactly as you said earlier, Andrei Slebek has become alive in this section of the race. We saw him make a beautiful move on Martin Štefanko at Toza a few laps ago. He's now piling the pressure onto the Mercedes of Peter Zubek, coming through Ravazza once again. Oh, and you saw actually Andrei Slebek much tighter, trying to get a decent exit. Now coming back up to the battle for the final podium position. And we're switching between two incredible battles as Zubek still defending for everything he's got, hanging on to that 8th position. Now, oh no, soon do I say that we haven't seen a side-by-side from Dolezal. That was exactly what he was trying to do against Michael Blazek. Couldn't quite get it done into Villeneuve though, and he's got to be careful he doesn't let frustration take over, because that's where he's going to then make a mistake. He's had a pretty decent run out of Toza, but again, so has Michael Blazek, and he'll be well aware of where he needs to defend against that ever-present Peter Dolezal. And as we're trying to get a back shot there from Michael Blazek's car, and Peter Dolezal is trying absolutely everything he possibly can, but great defensive driving from Michael Blazek.
Yeah, this is fantastic. These are some very equal drivers right here. I mean, the differences between them could be counted in hundredths of a second, I think. Again, this is the battle for P3. Šmídl and Polesny have broken away a bit. They both now have quite a comfortable gap. In fact, the two of them must be enjoying quite a nice drive around this lovely Imola circuit in these fantastic Mercedes GT3 cars. So I think the two of them are probably focusing on consistency at this point, now that they've already built those gaps, and that's what's most important to them. But yeah, I think Dolezal is very slowly but surely testing those weak points, as you mentioned before, trying to find out. And there he is. There's Michal Šmídl. We haven't seen him in a while, but there he is right now in that Predator car, starting another lap of this race, just under 11 minutes, plus one more lap to go, of course. And yeah, it's looking good for him up at the front. Polesny as well, as I mentioned, looking like a fantastic start. I mean, this has got to be the best possible start for the Predator teams, red and blue, as they've got red leading and blue currently in second position. They are not teammates, mind you. These are two separate teams. But if you're Ace or Predator looking at your two cars out there on track in first and second position, you got to be pretty happy about your selection of drivers for this 2018 season. Back on board with Blazek and Dolezal once again, though, and Dolezal again still trying to find a way past Michael Blazek and just struggling, just again staring at the back of that car, just staring at the word Legion over and over and over, lap after lap. He's going to have to try something interesting, because I don't know if Blazek, relying on a mistake from the car ahead of you is never a good way to get by. He's going to be pressuring him as much as he can to try and force that error from Blazek if he can, but he's got quite a difficult task. Meanwhile, behind, haven't been noticing this very much, Hanzik is actually now coming under attack from Sikora. That gap was about 2 seconds previously. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Hanzik is actually closing up on this battle for third, too. As let's see if we stay at this camera angle, and there he is, coming out of that final corner. So I think it actually might be starting to group up again. Could well be, and unfortunately, just as we flick away, Peter Dolezal doesn't really have the luxury of time anymore. He is running out of it. There's about 10 minutes of the race left to go. Of course, including the lap on the end. Once the timer hits 0, he can't rely, exactly as you say, Justin, he can't rely on that mistake to happen. It hasn't happened yet. Oh, hello, this pack of 3. Here comes Štefanko.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin Štefanko piling the pressure onto Andrei Slebek. Oh, and a great defensive positioning there by the Avast Mercedes. Sorry, the Avast Mercedes is the one ahead. So Martin Štefanko trying his best to get Andrei Slebek out of his rhythm. Again, we've seen so many attempts there by Martin Štefanko. He does seem to really... He's not afraid to put the aggressive moves in He's also not afraid to get his car very wide in those mirrors. And there is that battle you were alluding to earlier. Jan Sikora on the back of Jaroslav Hosnik. This is a battle for 5th position. In that, Lynx Mercedes has been reeling in Jaroslav Hosnik for a while now. There's less than half a second between the pair of them. Oh, again, back to this particular battle of 3. Martin Štefanko at the tail end of it. It's not where he would want his 2018 season to begin, but he is trying his best to pile the pressure onto Andrei Šlebek. A little bit too wide on the exit of Aqua Minerale once again, but there you see that is Marcin Kostelik. He has, I think, that pack of 3's reeling him in again.
Yeah, he's safe at the moment. He's got about a 3-second gap back down to Peter, but yeah, he really needs to keep focusing. It's a big gap up ahead to Sikora, that battle between Hanzik and Sikora, so I don't know if Kostelik is going to be able to do any better than P7, but Chris, obviously you're new to the series. Kostelik was more of a backmarker last season, so it is incredible to see him not only ahead of Zubek and Hlebets, but he's ahead of Štefanko as well too. So Kostelik, who was a bit off the pace last season, if we're honest, he's right up there at least in this GT3 car. He did come in late last season, worth mentioning. You know, he didn't start right at the beginning and was off the pace. He came in the middle of the season and was off the pace and was starting to get faster and faster right as the season ended. But it seems for this 2018 season, he wants to hit the ground running, and that P7 that he's in right now would be a fantastic start to his 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP Championship. So I imagine he's going to be really, really focused at this stage of the race with just over 6 minutes remaining in this first race here at Imola. And yeah, Hlebets now putting the pressure on Zubek as Štefanko has dropped off, actually. He's now several car lengths behind Hlebets. This is very interesting. He just really seems to be struggling in that Mercedes GT3 car today around Imola. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, oh, that is very wide for Zubek, and that's going to put him under attack from Hlebets. He's just about giving him enough room there as Hlebets is actually on the grass into the braking zone for the chicane side by side, just about leaving enough room. Zubek has to cut the corner, go through the grass. It looks like a better exit for Hlebets. Štefanko in the background is going to try and go side by side with Zubek as they head down the hill into the penultimate corner. Hlebets has taken that position. Can Zubek hold off Martin Štefanko into this left-hander? Yes, he can, just about. And in fact, he's now putting the pressure on Hlebets as they go through the final corner now. He's retaken the position. Štefanko coming at him now side by side out of the final corner. I don't know who's going to win this.
And I highly doubt they do either. Look, Peter Dolosov is struggling to defend from the pair of them. He's got the Republic of Gamers. He's gone straight for defending from Štefanko. And now the Alza Gaming Mercedes of Andrei Šlebek is trying to do something about it. And again, demoting that Republic of Gamers Mercedes back to the tail of this particular train. What a great move. He's not done, though. He's trying to get alongside the Avast Gaming Mercedes of Peter Zubek. And now they're heading down to the next chicane. And once again, Martin Štefanko is getting his Mercedes well into the mirrors. He's trying to get the mind games going. He's got no one to defend against. Is Martin Štefanko going to try and move into Toza? No, not quite. What a great series of moves from this 3. All started at Ravata and ended at Toza. Goodness me, these guys are not giving up. We may well be running out of time in this race, and the drivers will be aware of this, so they know they've got to get the moves done. They've got to get ahead of those they've been fighting with. They can't rely on a mistake, exactly as we were saying before. But what incredible moves we're seeing. And what we're also seeing is drivers making opportunistic. They may not have planned the move that they suddenly are presented with, but they're jumping straight on the opportunity that is being presented with them.
Yeah, and unbelievably, they're in the same positions that they were in a lap ago. So after all that racing, all that battling, all that side-by-side, all those opportunistic moves and everything, they are right back where they started about 2 minutes ago. So Hlebets has it all to do again, as does Štefanko. Zubek now has a big gap, though, up ahead to Kostelik. So again, what was about a 2.5, 3 second gap to Kostelik up ahead has now turned into about a 4.5 or 5 second gap. So Kostelik is going to be very happy about all that battling going on behind. Meanwhile, Jaroslav Hanzik still holding on to that P5 position. Sikora very close behind, but it doesn't appear he's going to be able to make any moves in the near future. We'll see what happens in a couple of laps' time, though, with that battle for P5. Meanwhile, the battle for P8, believe it or not, this is a battle for P8 is still raging on, with Chlebets in the middle of that sandwich of cars. He is really having to fight. I mean, these guys are earning absolutely every single point that they get here today. And Chlebets is very aggressive over the inside curb through the right-hander there. Will he try a dive up the inside at the hairpin? Yes, he will, but not quite able to pull alongside. So the Avast car is able to take that racing line, take that apex through the hairpin, and hold on to that position. But here comes Martin Štefanko with a better exit after he took the racing line through that hairpin. This is going to give him the inside line through the left-hander, but no. Chlebets is later onto the brakes there and is able to hold off Martin Štefanko, the reigning 2017 Virtual GP champion, now is down into P10. I think he was up into P8 at one point, was the highest we've seen Martin Štefanko, and that is very surprising to see. 2 minutes 20 remaining in this race, and here are Dolezal and Blazek. Once again, Dolezal on your bottom left-hand corner, Blazek at the bottom right-hand corner. These two guys really, really want this podium position. The other guys are battling for P8. This is for P3. This is for the interview on the podium afterwards. Here comes Dolezal on the outside for the first corner. Can Blazek be late enough on the brakes to push him out? Yes, he can. He claims that corner and holds off the Seiko Plus car one more time.
Goodness me, it's incredible racing. We've only got what's going to be another 3 laps at best. It all depends on what point Michal Šmídl crosses the line. I think he's going to beat the timer just about.
Yes.
But Peter Dolezal is desperately wanting. Here we go again with this pack of 3. Once again, Peter Zubek defending with everything he has got. Oh, you saw the tail actually of Andre Schlebek just kick out slightly. That's what caused him to fall behind, and that's exactly what Peter Zubek needs to capitalize on. But unfortunately, he hasn't had much of a chance to. And once again, you see as Andre Schlebek has closed back in, here is the battle that we were previously looking at for the last podium position. You saw Peter Zubek looking on the inside, heading into Acqua Minerale, but once again, well defended from Michael Blazek. He's tried absolutely everything he possibly can, and there you go, he's changing mirror to mirror, trying just to put just to get that Legion Mercedes out of his rhythm. That's a very wide line that Peter Dolezal has gone for. He tried all the standard lines. He's now going for an extremely wide line on the exit. Very anti-alta. Doesn't quite pay off. Coming into the Rivazza. Oh, that's very close to impact there by Peter Dolezal. Managed to keep his nose out of the rear diffuser of that Legion car, but goodness me, that is incredibly close and still not done yet.
Yep, and Šmídl did in fact cross the line, so I think this is going to be the penultimate lap of this race here at Imola for the first round of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP Championship. Peter Dolezal is trying to close in on Michael Blazek, as he's been doing indeed all race long. This has been boiling over for the entire race as the timer is now going to cross down to 0. 1 lap remaining in this race. There is Michal Šmídl just making his way out of the hairpin and up the hill towards the very fast left-hander. Again, the Acer Predator red car currently running in first position. Predator blue car running in second position with Wojtek Plesny, and Michael Blazek doing his best to hold on to that final podium position. And Dolezal is doing his best, of course, to relinquish him of that final podium position. Down the hill we go for the final time in this race here at Imola. And it's looking like he's actually a little bit further back than we've seen on previous laps. So, and not really any overtaking locations left in this lap. So if Dolezal is able to make it happen, that would be very impressive. Meanwhile, that battle for P5, which again just kind of started within a handful of laps or so ago. Hanzik is being reeled in by Sikora. No pit stops in this race. Interesting to point out. I don't know if that was a factor of this circuit in particular, just being kind on those tires, but none of the drivers needing to come in for fuel or tires at the end of the race. Into the penultimate quarter for Jaroslav Hanzik in the Thrustmaster car. The Lynx car following right behind him. Jan Sikora, I don't think, is going to be able to pick up that 5th place position, so it's going to be a good result for Sikora, but an even better result for Jaroslav Hanzik. And there they go across the line, and yep, I do believe that is going to be P4, or are they still racing? In fact, I think yes, they are still racing. So this is the final lap now for these guys. That's how far behind they were than compared to Michal Šmídl as they start now. What is now the final lap? They got the white flag that time by, and more surprisingly, actually, this battle for P3 or this three-way battle that's been going on for P8 is still continuing, although with a little bit bigger gaps from what it seems. So this looks like the one to watch here.
It's the one furthest up the grid that we've got at the moment. Dolezal it's do or die now for anyone involved. We can see Jan Segura in the background against Jaroslav Hosnik. He's got that battle to do. There he is in the Lynx car. He's got to do it, and he's running out of courses to try and do it. He's trying to get a tighter line, very brave, through the Piratella. And again, not a massive break into Akku Minerali. He's trying to force that mistake, which is no easy feat. Again, Peter Dolezal in exactly the same position, slightly further up the road. Now coming into Variante Alta, and again, he can't do anything against the Legion car ahead of him. Oh, runs a little bit wide, but keeps it on the road. He wants the final position, but the victory is going to come over to this man. What a start for the Predator red car of Michal Šmídl to take the win here at Imola. What a stunning race from him.
Yep, he was, as we mentioned, second in the championship last season in 2017, but he was leading that championship right up until the end. So I'm sure this is exactly the way he wanted to start as he takes the headset off. You can see he is very happy about that. And these two guys as well, you know, you got to give it to Blažek, you got to give it to Dolezal as well. Very clean, respectful, and close racing between the two of them as well. Similar for Hanzik and Sikora, fantastic drive for those two. It was really interesting to see Sikora closing in at the end. Martin Kostulik, though, I almost got to give him my driver of the day just because, again, I mean, he was a backmarker last season. He was really not on pace with the rest of the drivers and nearly made it into the top half of these 12 drivers, finishes 7th in the end. And then Chlebets will take P8, Štefanko P9, and Zubek P10. That is very surprising to see. Prohaska in P11, Robin Lucas in P12, but again, not far off. Last season in 2017, we saw drivers getting lapped fairly regularly, but here, this season, in this first race, it is very, very close. We saw fantastic battles up and down the field. You can see all of the drivers are absolutely exhausted. This is the standings. This is how they finished. Šmídl in the end, 5.5 seconds ahead of Polesny. Not a very big gap, just under 10 seconds down to Blažek. Fastest lap in the end, though, going to Dolezal, who, again, in that Seiko Plus car, we kept seeing him put in those fastest laps. That 142.8 that we saw early in the race, indeed, is going to stand as the fastest lap of the race so far. And, of course, as you would imagine, the standings look very similar to the race standings at the end of the race. But Dolezal, again, of course, picking up that extra point for fastest lap. That's going to put him on 13 points, just 12 points adrift of Šmídl. Only Prohaska and Lucas failing to score points so far.
I think we can be quite happy with the result today. Both cars on the podium and in the top 2, which was the target. So as a team, we are glad that we finished the first race on those positions. For me personally, it's much more better compared to the last year Formula car, and I'm quite happy that we don't race only in Formulas this year, so I think there's more to come this year.
Good feeling, but it was a hard race, and Michal Blažek was really close to me on the start line, and before that I have bad start, and in the race I have perfect start.
So Michal Blažek is saying, I'm feeling great. It was a brilliant race, and hopefully even in the next races it can be like today. But yeah, we need to wait and see. These cars are fantastic. They're such great fun to drive, and it's all very close. The whole grid is very competitive, and that's the words from Michal Blažek.
Yeah, I was pushing all the race, but Michael didn't make any mistakes, so I was careful because it's first race, so 4th place is good for me.
Yep, and 4th place would be good for me too. He doesn't get to stand up here with these gentlemen, but Šmídl takes the win for the first round of the 2018 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. A very well-deserved victory in a very close race. I want to thank you, Chris, for joining me so much.
It has been such a great pleasure, and if this is a precursor to the rest of the season, I can't wait.
Yep, it's going to be a good season. Make sure you guys tune in next time for the 2018 Virtual GP Mercedes-Benz Championship.